and how y'all doing today? Come on in, and come on in again. Baby, let me tell you what the devil hating God love. This ain't nothing but the truth. This weather is something. You hear me? I mean, it's something. Got me sipping on tea. Well, I'm so glad that you guys came to join me today. I wanted to chit chat and chew the fat with you about something that is kind of dear to my heart. My name is Bettina Bullard. I am a 30-year insurance. No, I know, right? 30-year insurance agent. I've been doing this thing for a long time. One of the reasons why I got into the insurance business is because it gave me flexibility. I am a single parent. My son is grown now. He's married, pastoring now, has a beautiful wife. No kids yet. They practicing, y'all. They practicing. And I tell them that practice makes perfect. Okay? What? But nonetheless, in my career, I tried to figure out what it was that I could do that would give me flexibility to still be able to be that basketball mom, that volleyball mom, where I could participate, show up at PTA meetings, to be a part of my son's life. When I was a little girl, I always wanted my mom to be able to come to work, get off of work and come to school and hang out with me. However, that wasn't possible. Her work schedule didn't allow for it. And since her work schedule didn't allow for it, I would just be, wishing that my mom could be there. I would want her presence. Now, she came to the PTA meetings. Anything that was after work, not a problem. And if I got in trouble at school, she made sure that she came to make sure what was going on, and I knew that I was going to get it later. Okay? Now, let me put that up in there. Let me tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because, baby, sometimes when we be, just sometimes, I'm just saying what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, that was very important to me. So when I found myself with a child out of wedlock, I thought that it would be very important for me to invest as much time as I possibly could, with my son. I'm coming out of this, whatever this is that I've been going through for the last week. But I wanted to come in and I wanted to really talk to you guys about what do you know about your insurance policies that you may have or may not have. 30 years. I started off as a file clerk at a PNC company. I'll never forget. And I remember them asking me if I wanted to go get my license. And I was like, sure. Went and got my license. And they were telling me how hard the test was. I was terrified. Passed the test. I was excited about that. And boom, now I'm in the insurance industry. Again, that was PNC. Fast forward, I get my life insurance license. And that was in April of 1998. Soon as I got my license, the very first day that I got my license, I had to pay a death claim. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It happened that fast. And that's what life is like. Life is a series of incidences that happen just like that. You never know when, you never know what, you never know how. All you can do is kind of prepare yourself. I am sweating like a banshee. Oh, excuse me. Hey, this I'm getting over the cooties, y'all. So, as I was thinking of how I could make a living, I was on the move. I knew it was important that I was present in my son's life because I was a single parent. And as a single parent, you have to learn to navigate those spaces and time for what it is that you can do, not what anybody else could do, but what I could do. Thankfully, I had a very great support system within my mom. I don't know where I would be without her today. She would always push me and say, go for it. And that's exactly what I did. I would just go for it. Even today, I still take what I call leaps of faith. Got those insurance licenses and I put them to work. I actually even became that door-to-door agent that used to come and knock on your door and collect your money. Yeah, that was me. I was in my 20s. It seemed like yesterday, not so long ago, because baby, you're as old as you feel. And I don't feel that old. I'm proud to say. I have moments though. I do have moments. I know you do too, okay? So here I was, going and knocking on doors and collecting premiums, knocking on doors, doing reviews, knocking on doors, talking to people and building relationships. One of my favorite ladies that I would go see would be Miss Catherine Terrell. That's where I got my very first aha about insurance. As a debit agent, you acquire a book of business. So I had this book of business that other agents had worked before me. I had the opportunity to go out, introduce myself. Hi, I'm your insurance lady. And the goal was to put as many people as we could on bank draft. Saved you some gas, guaranteed you more money. The benefit of going out and seeing people face to face was that you built the relationship and you had an opportunity to do an upsell. There may have been a child, they may have had a neighbor, you could go to the neighbor's house. It was a great way to collect leads when you would go in. I built some very strong relationships throughout the years that I've been selling, talking with parents, grandparents, and children and watching them grow and actually watching them leave, which has been very emotional. Because you build these relationships with these people and you have these connections and you remember when children got married, you remember when there was sickness and for me, I pray and they pray and you laugh together. They invite you to dinner, cookouts, pig pickings. Yes, honey, pig pickings. I was like, what is a pig picking? It's really, and if you're a people person, like me, you enjoy that aspect of being able to help someone secure their family. And if I were to have a topic, if I were to call this anything, it would be called, the title of this podcast would be protected and secure. Those things are very important to me, being protected. But I also want to make sure that there's security in that protection, that financial security. It wasn't just about selling and making money for me. It was making sure that these clients would be taken care of and their families would be taken care of if something were to happen to them. I'll never forget Miss Catherine Terrell. Had a little bit of arthritis, but she always paid her premiums. I was new into the debit agency. And so first you have to build a rapport to make sure that they trust you with their money. That's important. Who are you? Because agents would just swing through. And I didn't just want to be a swing through agent. So I remember going to her house, and I had been there several times, and I said, Miss Catherine, when was the last time you reviewed your insurance? And she said, well, babe, I got all my policies right here. I don't need no more. I got everything I need. And in that particular situation, I said, okay, Miss Terrell. And I went and I said, well, let me do a quick review of your policies. And she said, but baby, I got them just right here. And I went and I reviewed her policies. Miss Catherine, I think it was in her, I can't remember if it was 70s or 80s. And you have something that's called underwriting guidelines. Underwriting guidelines prove your worthiness of being able to, or your, let me say your insurability. I think that's the better word. So if you have some health things going on, it affects your rate. If your health is good, it could be low. But if you have some health issues, it could be rated and it could be denied. And back then, some companies that I was working with, a company that I was working for, I could only write for that specific company. And they had a stringent guidelines that I had to follow. And I believe one time when she was, and a lot of times when I would come to Miss Catherine's house, she would have people waiting for me. Well, my insurance lady gonna be by here, and they'll be waiting for me, and I can write them up. Oh my goodness! So one particular day, her and her son was there, and we started looking at her policy. And I said, "Well, let's look at your policies and see what you got," because she got denied. She ain't gonna say she got email. Anyway, this was years ago. God rest her soul. And this particular case, I went to review her insurance because insurability is very important. What I'm about to tell you is my experience as an agent. As a 30-year agent that gave me an aha and shook me to my core. Miss Catherine had several $500 policies. She knew she had life insurance, had been paying on those policies for a number of years. And come to find out, every last single one of them was an accident policy. Not one, not two, but every policy that the insurance agents had come out before that didn't look like me, that worked her book years ago, sold her accident policies. This woman was well in her age with health issues, and now she had no life insurance. Now she didn't qualify for any life insurance through my company that I was working with at that time. She had about 7 policies, and every last single one of them were accident policies. Maybe she had 4 or 5. I don't want to exaggerate. But she had several $500 policies. And I said, Miss Catherine, these accident, she said, what you mean these accident policies? I got life insurance. My insurance man came by here and he sold me these policies. Oh, it's Black History Month. Accident policies. It's interesting that back then, this is what I found out, and this is my experience. Agents would sell people of color accident policies instead of a life insurance policy. They sold it on the guise that more than likely someone of color would get killed from an accident than any natural causes or anything else. So what they would do is that they would offer life insurance, accident insurance policies to people of color, cap them off at about $500. But if you died of anything other than an accident, do you know what happens? They don't pay out. Yeah, right. Did you hear what I said? Now, that sparked me at the time to start doing more reviews, because I was finding that people that were in their 70s and 80s, and in a lot of cases, that was the standard. I would sell these accident policies, and the accident policies did not give them what they needed for burial. And by this time, it cost about, $7,000 to $10,000 for burial back then. And if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not watching your blood pressure, if you're not eating right, if you're not getting your physicals, if you're not going to the doctor, and you're older, that premium, beast mode. What you gonna do with it? How are you going to be able to, number one, afford it, and number two, qualify for it? Because insurability is what it's all about. You may have the money to pay for the premium. However, if you are not insurable, you still can't get the coverage. Now today, some things have changed, and we have different policies that really cater to different health situations. We can pretty much cover anybody. However, there can be a caveat to the coverage. Now, a lot of people are not aware that this caveat exists. Some people were just like Miss Catherine. Miss Catherine, that's what Miss Catherine thought she had whole life insurance. And what she ended up having indeed were accident policies that paid if you broke a finger or limb, fell, went to the doctor. And usually you have to go to the doctor within 24 hours of that accident in order for it to pay out, if death for the death claim to pay out. And usually that death claim is $1,000. And a lot of the accident policies now, unless you get a specific policy that does more. But when you're looking at accidental life insurance, it pays simply for that, an accident that you get into, that you die from. Were you aware of that? A lot of people get the policies in the mail and the inserts, and it's inexpensive. It's dirt cheap. So it's very attractive. I'm not saying don't get it. It's attractive. But please be aware that in that small premium, you get small coverage. Now, I did a little bit of research as well. And in my research, I started thinking about back in the 20s when people first started really getting insurance. And you could see that there was a divide. The divide was in the 20s that they called it industrial insurance back then. Once again, with industrial insurance, it was basically a way to say this is for people that they streamlined who that coverage went to, and it usually went to people of color. Now, the term could be used again today, but because it is now associated with such negativity from back then, that they've called the policies different policies now and give them different levels of coverages. So, what I wanted to show to you, just talk about a little bit. Just a little bit of research that I've done. And what I found out, just giving you a little bit of background history on insurance. Now, check this out. During the 1900s, insurance companies often denied life insurance policies to Black individuals or charged them higher premiums than white individuals. That's the industrial insurance. That's where that name came from. It was basically a burial insurance, which is more commonly sold to Black people at higher costs. And these policies were typically small and only covered basic burial expenses. It didn't give you something that will protect you and give you financial security. And what we're talking about is being protected and secure. Secure means that if something happens to the breadwinner, that you're still able to put food on the table. You're still able to pay the light bill, the gas bill, the phone bill. You can keep a roof over the head. You can make sure that your child goes to college. You can make sure that you don't lose the car, that you leave a family legacy. That's what security is, right? We want to make sure not only that we can bury you, because we don't want to put every dime that we have in the ground, because that's where wealth comes from. Most people were putting every dime that they had, which was that little minuscule amount. So it didn't give you the opportunity to get ahead. And if you look, most people that have a lot of wealth comes from insurance. Give me a second. Hello? Is everything okay?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing a live. Is everything okay?
Your question.
What is it?
You have to pay a charge.
I shouldn't. I'm on a live. Let me call you back. Bye. And that's what happens when you're an entrepreneur. So, as we were saying, it's a small amount. Small amount. $500 was a lot of money back in the day. But when you're using that to maybe carry the body, open the grave, close the grave, and even then higher premiums. So it may have cost $300 to bury back then, and then maybe they charge $500 because there was different price points for people of color than for people that were not of color. Okay, it's a little history. Um, now, now the mid 20th century, the civil rights movement of the 1960s began to address racial inequalities, including those in the insurance industry. Activism led to some policy changes, but discrimination still persisted. So people were becoming aware and they were beginning to speak out. However, everybody didn't jump aboard because sometimes people just like money. In the late 20th century, laws and regulations in the latter half of the 20th century, like the Civil Rights Act and Fair Housing Act, began to address racial discrimination in various sectors, including insurance. So they had to increase access. The access to life insurance gradually improved for Black individuals, but disparities in policy offerings and premium costs often remain. Now, my experience working with some other veteran insurance agents, my experience, stories, and things that I saw and things that people told me, um, and so this is based upon my experience and things that I have seen, being told that there were two sets of books. There was a set of books for the Black race, and there was a set of books for the white race. The Black rates were higher, the white rates were lower. Now, if you go back and do your research, you will find that there's a lot of truth in what I'm saying. There's truth. There's not a lot of truth, but there's truth to what I'm saying. It's just truth to what I'm saying. Did it happen everywhere? It happened. It happened. It happened. So what? That's the systemic racism, that the systemic inequality that puts people in such a upheaval. Some people don't want to admit that it happening, because there are some laws that were put in place that will continue it like it was okay to do this to people. And it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. And there's an awareness that is sometimes missing when you don't realize what people gave their life for. And this was just in the 20th century. not too long ago, the 21st century. Today, the insurance industry has made strides towards inclusivity. Inclusivity is important. Inclusivity um, means that it's not just for me, but it's for everybody, right? The problem is that if there was a deal and there was a good price, people that were not of color a lot of times didn't get that price. They were stuck with a portion and not the whole. Some people didn't know how to read because education was denied to the Black race. And so when education is denied, you can't read, you can't write, it causes generations to be behind. That's why in 2025, you still have first generations of college students. In 2025, you're still having first people of color that have been able to have prestigious titles and things of that nature because inclusivity was missing. So when we talk about life insurance and the need for it, life insurance is one of those great wealth creators. Life insurance enables you to leave a legacy for your family. Life insurance not only can bury you, but it can make sure that your children and your children's children go to college, that the house gets paid off and nobody has to worry about the mortgage, that the car gets paid off and nobody has to come and pick it up. I used to work at a financial institution several years ago. This was on my journey to the life insurance, and I'll never forget going in and I was doing some filing. I worked there for a month. I closed on like 4 loans. They were so surprised because I went in and I hit it. And I remember when they told us to file, you had to call on Tuesday nights and do collection calls. I hated those calls, maybe because I knew the people, so many people that I had to call, and I don't want to be in anybody's business like that. Nonetheless, they had a file cabinet full of dead people. When I was doing file, I was like, oh, they died. Oh, what you want me to do? Throw this away? They said, no, you don't throw that away. I was like, what? I mean, what you gonna do? They was like, we still want our money. When you die, your debt does not leave. It doesn't go anywhere, guys. Your debt doesn't go anywhere. So if there's a payment that's still left on that card that you just purchased, the finance company wants the money. The finance company wants the money on the house. The finance company still wants the money on whatever it is that's out there. And I don't think people are aware of that. And so when you're looking at life insurance, and that's why you need to get it while you're young, while you're in your 20s. Listen, guys, we miss this step because most people have all of their insurance at work. And then when they leave their job, when they retire, God forbid their health gets bad, God forbid the company closes down, God forbid they get fired, God forbid something happens to them that causes them not to be able to work, or if a child or somebody in there, they have to start taking care of someone. What happens to those benefits? Everybody's benefits don't go with them. And usually when they come with you, a lot of times every year that premium goes up at your birthday. And if that premium goes up at your birthday, and as you get older, the less money you make. And so that premium begins to get bigger. The life insurance stays the same, and sometimes it gets smaller depending on what you have. And then what do? I need you to know that accident policies only pay out if you're killed in an accident. If you die of natural causes, there's no coverage. None. And the statistics on most people dying in car crashes and things like that, yeah, well, nowadays I don't know what the statistics are with the things that are happening. God help all these people that have been in such terrible accidents and terrible situations. My heart just go out to them, planes falling. Oh my goodness gracious. It's devastating. And the one another thing that's devastating is not having life insurance. And we want to make sure that you are protected and secure. And what I need you to do is call Best Insurance Group at 336 585 7357 so that we can make sure that not only you know the difference between accident and whole life insurance, but what it means to be secure, to not be secure, and to make sure that you have peace of mind and not worry. I am Tina B. Hey, let's connect. 336 585 7357.